What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go through my Magical Musketeer Fiendsmith deck. I haven't had a chance to actually put this together or play it since I've gotten the Fiendsmith cards because I've been focusing all of my energy on the Yugioh strategy, but super excited to play this deck. I've seen two high-profile players' lists. I've seen Christian Urena's go second version, and I've seen Dinkabui's go first version. My personal preference is to play the go second version. I think it's kind of cool. I think it plays cooler cards and, you know, fewer bricks and, I don't know, more straightforward, more fun to break boards, I think. And I think after ban list, I hope that the end boards that we're going to be facing are not going to be as oppressive, and going second will be a lot better. But yeah, that's the kind of the version I lean towards. This version, this list I'm going to show, it's going to be fairly similar to Christian Urena's list, to be honest, but this is the list that I would play. I think there's like 5-6 cards difference between mine and Christian's. But I'm going to go through it now, and let me know what you guys think here. So I have main and extra ready to show off. For the main, because we're going second, we're going to kind of limit our normal summons quite a bit. So just 3 Starfire, which is the Musketeer that special summons from the deck. We have Caspar, which is the Musketeer that searches from the deck. And then we have 1 Doc, which is the Musketeer that adds back from graveyard to hand to keep your grind game going. In the past, when I've played Muskets, I have omitted Doc. I didn't think it was good, and I prefer to play either Kid Brave or, let's see if I have a copy around here somewhere, Kid Brave or Calamity. And I wanted those just for more gas, because in the past, Musketeers really wasn't able to put out a lot of bodies on their own, and I think Calamity getting that revive was going to be really valuable to actually building a board or breaking a board. But now that we have Fiendsmith available, that's not a problem anymore. So Calamity is out. Also, Kid Brave is out because we have a few drawing effects in our deck, and getting interrupted on Kid Brave is a little bit costly. So that's why we're omitting those from this particular list. Anyway. From here, we have our Musketeer spells and trap cards. 1 of each. I've been playing 1 of each since I've been playing the deck, so I'm glad it's finally meta and people don't have to, you know, call me out for it. But 1 Desperado, 1 Dancing Needle, 1 Last Stand, and 1 Cross Dom. I like all 4 of them. I think all 4 of them are valuable in breaking boards. I think a lot of times Max can actually search you all 4 as well, so I think super nice, and you can kind of craft searching whichever ones you want to whatever deck you're playing. And if you need to side out cards, if something's really not relevant, like Dancing Needle, banishing 3, if you're playing against a shifter deck, you know, that card can probably come out. So there's a lot of kind of flexibility in the side patterns for the Musketeer engine. The honorary Magical Musketeer card is Link Into the Vrains. So this is what makes this deck so strong. This card says you can special summon a monster from your hand, then immediately link summon using that monster, and when that card is link summoned, your opponent cannot respond with any effects. So essentially, if you compare Link Into the Vrains with any Musketeer name, you're going to summon out Max, and Max will search or summon you 3 to 4 cards. Right? So that's nuts, and that kind of combination is what really allows you to break whatever board you want. Also, yeah, your opponent cannot respond to the Max. If they want to stop that play, they have to stop Link Into the Vrains specifically. But yeah, so that's a really powerful combo, and Link Into the Vrains is searchable. All your Musket names are searchable, so pairing these up is not going to be too infrequent. Next package we're going to be on is obviously the Fiendsmith cards. So 3 copies of Engraver, 3 copies of Tract. This is probably the only Fiendsmith variant that plays 3 Tract, and that's because Tract searches you not only Engraver or Lurie, it also searches you all of your Musket names. So that's super important to have available to you. So you really want to open Tract. And because we're playing 3 Engraver, 3 Tract, and Engraver usually searches Tract, we need something to search with Engraver if we already have a Tract. And that's why we're playing 1 Sanct, which summons out a Light Fiend token for you, but you're locked into attacking with Fiends for the rest of the turn. Not a big deal because you play a lot of Fiends, and you're kind of all set to go. And then we're still playing the one copy of Flurry. It's nice to have a special summon available to you. If you open like Tract plus a Musket monster, you really don't need to search another one. So we're going to go ahead and search a Flurry instead and then special summon it out. And it's just an extra body, and I think it's worth playing. And then the last two kind of engine pieces are going to be one Sharvara and one Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. This is what is going to allow us to set up interruptions after we've tried to break their board. We can set up a Rage Engrave with Trap, and Rage Engrave with Trap is going to be really strong in most cases, right? Especially when you only need to stop follow-up. Rage into SP is insane. Okay, so that wraps up the engine for us here. Let me scoop this up. The rest is going to be non-engine or generic cards. So we'll go through that here. Starting off with our consistency. I'm on 2 copies of Molchami Purulia. This is a blind second deck, and therefore Purulia is playable just like it is in Tenpai. I'm not playing 3 because I only own 2. Okay, and if you don't own these cards, you can substitute them for Phantasme, which is what Christian Urena played. I would probably side these Phantasmes as well. These draw power hand traps are really good with board breaker strategies because you can craft your hand to find combinations of breakers that are good, or put back extra engine pieces that you don't want to see in the case of Phantasme. So yeah, super good. Ideally, I would probably play all 5 in the main, but I don't know if I have the space for that, so I'm probably going to be siding these Phantasmes right now. The next cards are going to be Triple Pot of Prosperity. So this card is really good because it will find you a combination of a Musket name plus Link Into the Vrains, or if you already have this combination, it'll find you your Fiendsmith stuff or find you your whatever breaker is missing. I really don't need to explain to you why Pot of Prosperity is really good. But yeah, we're still playing 3 of it. Now our extra deck is really tight, so a lot of times you're just going to be banishing 3 for Prosperity, and that's going to be fine. Because you have a fairly consistent deck. Odds are the top 3 will get you what you're missing, because whatever you're missing is not only an individual card, but it's also searchable by a bunch of cards, right? So Prosperity is going to be pretty easily finding what you need. And then we have 3 copies of Thrust in this deck. Super strong card. Searches, again, whatever you need, including Link Into the Vrains, which is a normal spell, or including a Fiendsmith Tract, which can search you your Musketeer monsters. So essentially, Thrust searches you whichever piece of the Musketeer plus Vrains combo you're missing once again. So you kind of have to play 3 of that. And then for our breakers, we have 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Forbidden Droplet. I think right now you have to play these because you need to really see one of them at least to out some problem cards like Appaloosa or Desiree. So super important that we see one of these guys. And then for the last 3 cards, 1 copy of Talent. I think just 1 is okay. Well, if you need to cut any of these, add more Talent. Like, Talent would be like at the top of the list of cards to add to this deck, but I want to play these other 2 cards just for fun. The next one's Change of Heart. I think is an incredible board breaker, and it's searchable by Thrust, so that's nice. And I don't know, Change of Heart's really cool. Also, I'm looking for cards that I can activate under my Musketeer monsters if my opponent does nothing. And I don't want to overload. Like, if I go normal summon Caspar and I'm like, alright, I need to activate a spell under Caspar to do stuff, and my opponent's just sitting there with his big board, he's like, yeah, go ahead. You know, if I have a hand of Thrusts and Talents, then I'm like, well, I'm kind of cooked because I can't even activate anything. So, yeah, that's another reason kind of to not overload on the triple tactics cards. And that's why I'm playing cards like Change of Heart, where we can just activate it and our opponent can respond from there. And then the last such card is going to be a Monster Reborn. I really like Monster Reborn in Musketeer. Not only is it good going second, because, you know, we have our opponent's whole graveyard available to us if we can take some like high level link monsters. Like, imagine just going Monster Reborn for, I don't know, I guess our opponent doesn't leave sequence in the graveyard too often, but if we could go like Monster Reborn for Fiendsmith sequence and have that ready to roll once we get some engine rolling, that'd be pretty cool. Or I don't know what other like high link monsters people leave in, but I don't know. I think this card is going to be kind of nice. And then it's also good going first to try to build a little bit more of a board, because going first, it's a little bit harder to set up a whole bunch of monsters because we don't have that Magical Musketeer max play available to us to summon out a bunch of muskets from deck. So that little bit of extension is going to be pretty solid. That's the main deck, 40 cards. There's a lot of flexibility in going second decks. If you want to play evenly matched instead of Dark Ruler, or if you want to play more talents, or you want to play Bestials or something, go ahead. Like, it's hard to find what to swap, but let it rip and see what you can come up with. For the extra deck, just one copy of Max. Never thought I would say it in a Musketeer deck, but only one Max is needed because of its recyclability with all the Fiendsmith cards, shuffling back Light Fiends from the grave. So we can just shuffle back Max, use it again next turn, it's fine. For the Fiendsmith part of the extra deck, we have a Requiem, a Sequence, a Necroquip, a Lacrima, and a Desiree. So that rounds out our Fiendsmith stuff. Not really playing the Aerial Eater. It's not that great going second, I don't think. Pretty rare that you're going to be making that. And I don't know. I don't really see too much value in Aerial Eater in this particular build. So I'm opting not to play it. Let me scoot these up. For the next part of our like engine stuff is going to be one Yama, one Rage, and one Anguish. Just for our Unchained plays. Setting up Rage and Grave is awesome. Setting up Anguish to break boards is also awesome because we can go Anguish into an access code talker, which is going to turn off our opponent from activating any effects. Like, for example, if we go Anguish, link off Anguish plus Flamberge Dragon into access code, we go access code chain link 1 to target Anguish to gain 3000 attack. Our opponent cannot respond with Flamberge Dragon chain link 2 because access code cannot be responded to, so it essentially clears Flamberge without our opponent getting the follow-up, which is super clutch. Of course, they can maybe go like IP into, you know, IP link away the Flamberge if at some point before that, if they foresee that coming, but it's still a nice play to have. And then for the other generic links, we have one SP, one Nightmare Phoenix, and one Boral Sword Dragon. So these are my two like flex options here. I really like Nightmare Phoenix in the Musketeer deck because if Max can summon out a bunch of monsters, we can go into Nightmare Phoenix pointing up at Max and then draw new cards, and that's kind of nice to clear out problem cards. It's also another attribute of Link Monster. It's a third attribute because all of our stuff is either light or dark, so access code having a fire as well could be a difference maker. And then Boral Sword. Sometimes Boral Sword just gets the job done where access code cannot. It can, you know, if we're a blind second deck, we really want to end the game on turn 1, or turn 1 for us, turn 2, I guess. Boral Sword sometimes gets the job done better than access code if our opponent just has stuff in the way and not things we need to clear first, right? So we have Boral Sword for that. Obviously, if you want to tech these cards out for something else, you can do that, but I'm going to try these for now. And then the last two cards are Typhon and Wave Hiking Caesar. Typhon is nice just to clear any remaining problems after you've already made your push, and then you can just leave it on your end board. Like if you go access code, clear a bunch of stuff, attack, overlay Typhon, clear one more thing, and then at least we have like a mini floodgate effect instead of just a kind of a useless access code sitting there. And then Wave Hiking Caesar. This is really nice to set up on your end board after you've broken as much as you can, and also if Tenpai makes you go first, this is a really good card against Tenpai. Hopefully they cannot negate it, but if they cannot, you probably are going to be able to stop any play that they want to make with the Wave Hiking Caesar, and you're going to also probably have Rage set up as well, so that's going to be pretty strong into the Tenpai matchup. Okay, so that's the main and extra. A couple like tech cards, or a couple cards I want to note. We do not need to play a Moon of the Closed Heaven, which I have right here, but I cannot pick up. Do not need to play this card because the only reason for this is to bridge effect monsters into Requiem. All of our effect monsters are Light Fiends anyway, so we don't need this card. Another card I thought about playing was Lina, and then maybe Celine on top of that. Since everybody's playing Lights, we have Veiler, we have Ogre, we have the Fiendsmith package. Lina taking one of those could be nice for link climbing, so that's an option as well. But I don't think it comes up enough to warrant playing this card. I already talked about Phantasmes in the main. I already talked about like Calamity and Kid Brave in the main. You could play more Sanct if you want, but I'd prefer more Breakers in the going second version. And yeah, that kind of wraps it up. I think that's about it for this particular build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Leave a like, sub to the channel if you enjoy the content. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one. We'll see you soon.